Okay, you're ready.
Wonderful, thank you. And welcome everyone to the August 11th Complete Count Committee. Appreciate everybody being here. So what we typically will do is go through our subcommittee reports after our self-response rate update, which is at 80.2, I believe. So that's great. We crossed that 80% mark. That's awesome. And we can go into our subcommittee reports. So at our last meeting, we talked about education, and Eric had mentioned that we weren't able to do the flyers with the school box lunches, but that he was working with the Dublin Arts Council to do distribution with them. Was that able to happen, Eric?
I have not tracked them down specifically. I know it's still in the works for, but it's something that hasn't come to full fruition yet.
Are you there? You're breaking up a little bit.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
It's something that we're still working on the connection there. It hasn't come to full fruition, but I know it's something that is still on our agenda. It's trying to work out.
Okay, super. And the PSA did get out, so thank you for having Dr. Hoadley do that. I thought it was good. I got a chance to see it on Facebook. So
yeah, I wanted to share numbers on that as well.
Great.
It's gone out twice on our 3 social media channels. It's also going out again this afternoon. But on Twitter, between the 2 times it's gone out, it's been seen 3,000 times. On Facebook, it's been seen 6,700 times, and on Instagram, it's been 2,000 times. So over 2 times of getting the video out, we've had a lot of interaction out there on our social media platforms.
Wow, that's great. Those are some impressive numbers, actually. Thank you for the update. Really appreciate it. So let's see. Then we talked after that about seniors a little bit, which Christine usually takes the lead on that. And she mentioned that the box lunch Wednesdays were done and distributed. And I think you were going to connect Mark with a contact for nursing homes, Christine. Is that right?
Yes, and also NOR, Islamic Cultural Center, and our faith communities. So I believe I sent the spreadsheet on to Mark. Mark, did you receive that?
Mark, if you're talking, you're muted.
I could have possibly received those, but I don't recall
Okay.
those.
I can't say that I blame you. I bet you receive thousands a week. I will gladly resend it. And that would be contacts with all of our older adult living facilities. Mind you, they're going through a pretty tough time right now. So I did reach out to them specifically and just to raise it to the forefront to say, so how do people get counted? And they were a little bit off thumbs. So I think they'll appreciate hearing from you. So that's one. Second, I did complete the outreach, Councilmember Aludo, to all of our faith communities, including NOR Islamic Cultural Center, since 40% of their congregation live in Dublin.
Right.
And many of them did make efforts already within their own congregations. So I know they did an extra push within their congregations there. We did complete Box Lunch Wednesdays. We are picking that back up in mid-September. I don't know timing wise if September 16th would be a good time to get census info out there. I leave that up to you and to Mr. Boyd to let me know if that would be another good push.
I imagine that it would be, because the census goes through the 30th of September. So that would kind of hit folks right at that last 2 weeks before the end of the month.
Happy to do that. That's all I have.
Super. Really appreciate it. Let's see. Up next is Jill on the call? Jill, did I see you? I did not see Jill. Jill usually gives us our faith and community based, but it sounds like Christine, you kind of gave us an update on that already. So I feel good about moving on from there. And any updates from our international subcommittee from Ben?
No, nothing to share at this time.
You're good to go. All right, that's excellent. So I'm actually going to turn this over to Mark for our Census Bureau update. Mark and Homer, right?
Thank you.
Homer's going to do the slides.
Thank you, Christine. I am just waiting for the slides to load. There we go. Okay, so next slide, Homer. All right, I sent out an email to all of my complete count committees and to the Dublin Complete Count Committee in regards to the statement by Dr. Dillingham on August 3rd. And I just want to briefly read this statement in its entirety. It's not the entire statement, but I'm going to go into a little bit of depth in regards to what it means. But the U.S. Census Bureau continues to evaluate operational plans to collect and process 2020 census data. Today, we're announcing updates to our plan that will include enumerator awards and the hiring of more employees to accelerate the completion of the data collection and apportionment counts by our statutory deadline of December 31st, 2020, as required by law and as directed by the Secretary of Commerce, Wilbur Ross. The Census Bureau's new plan reflects our continued commitment to conduct a complete count, provide accurate apportionment data, and protect the health and safety of the public and our workforce. Next slide, please. So that's the statement I sent out. There were more details in it, but the big takeaway from this statement is, number one, some of our deadlines have changed. So for field data collection, and that's primarily our NARFU process, non-response follow-up. It was extended to October 31st previously because of COVID, and now they have changed that and moved it back to September 30th, 2020. Also, the self-response option, which is the online and also the phone option to complete, and also the paper mail-in. The previous deadline, again, was October 31st, and that is also moved back to September 30th, 2020. And then the delivery of the apportionment counts, which is the number of congressional representatives for each state based on the count, to the president. Previously, we had extended that through April 30th, 2021, and now that delivery deadline is December 31st, 2020. Next slide, please. So in light of that statement, some of the other information they put in the statement, I just wanted to capsulize it and briefly summarize it. So the Census Bureau is a nonpartisan, apolitical organization. However, sometimes the data is used for political purposes. The Census Bureau is committed to making sure we get a complete and accurate count for the 2020 census. And we're going to have a robust, in light of these new changes in the moving up of the deadlines, we're still going to have a robust data field collection operation that will ensure that we receive responses from households that have not yet responded to the 2020 census. We're going to improve the speed of our count without sacrificing completeness, conduct additional training sessions, and provide awards to enumerators in recognition to those who maximize the hours that they work. And then we're going to meet a similar level of household responses as collected in prior censuses, including outreach to our hard-to-count communities. Next slide, please. In addition, the Census Bureau committed to accurate data and efficient processing. We're going to review the data collected for completeness and accuracy as always. That's the back-end operation. We're going to streamline the processing at this point. We're going to prioritize apportionment counts to meet the new statutory deadline. And then we're going to increase our staff to ensure operations are running at full capacity. Next slide, please. We're also committed to a flexible design in light of this new deadline. Adaptable, we're going to be adaptable and have agile operations. And then also we're going to use additional resources to help speed our work. Next slide, please. And as usual, we're going to also prioritize and be committed to health and safety. We prioritize the health and safety of our workforce and the public, and we're going to follow all federal, state, and local guidance, including providing appropriate safety trainings and personal protective equipment to field staff. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's take a look at the response rates as of yesterday, 8/10/20, Dublin and in your surrounding geographies. So Dublin, the response rate as of yesterday was 80.2, as Christine alluded to, and you are just 0.6 of a percentage point away from the 2010 response rate. So congratulations. Again, you're doing fantastic jobs. I think we're going to hit that before September 30th, obviously. Ohio is at 67.6% as of yesterday. Delaware is at 77.4%. Union County is at 76.2%. And Franklin County is at 63.9%. So you're leading the way there. Great job. Next slide, please. So here are the response rates of central Ohio cities of comparable size, around 35 to 45K. And we're holding steady at third place as far as the response rate in comparison to Upper Arlington, Westerville, Gahanna, Grove City, Hilliard, and Reynoldsburg. Next slide, please. Our message is still, the census is happening now. We're in the response phase, so that's our message. The census is happening right now. Respond now by going to 2020census.gov or call 844-330-2020. That's the message we want to be getting out to everybody right now. Next. So we've talked about these in previous CCC meetings, the best practices to increase response rates. You guys are, in fact, doing that. We're increasing digital communications. We're targeting hard-to-reach populations. And you're doing all of the best practices to make sure that you get the best response rate possible. We're utilizing the organizations that have large communication platforms. We have the new PSAs, the city government, the school system, churches, large businesses. So thank you for that. Your response rate shows your efforts. Next slide, please. And then here's the COVID-19 uptake, same as before. We're going to protect the health and safety of the American public and Census Bureau employees, and implement guidance from federal, state, and local authorities, and ensure a complete and accurate count of all communities. Next slide, please. So as you guys are all aware, I think I sent out an email in regards to this also. The non-response follow-up begins today throughout the country, and will go through September 30th. And in case anybody's not familiar with that, that's when we send the census takers, or we call them enumerators, out to households that have not responded to the 2020 census yet. And again, they will all follow public health guidelines when they visit. They're going to wear a mask, conduct interviews outside the home in an open, well-ventilated space when possible. And also, you guys may have been aware that there were some non-response follow-up operations that launched earlier last month. None of those were in Ohio. Or maybe, I think one was in Mansfield area census office, but the bulk of them were outside of Ohio. Next slide, please. So census takers will be coming to your households in the city of Dublin. We want them to make them aware of the identity of a local census taker. And you can verify that by calling the Philadelphia Regional Census Center at 267-780-2600, or you can contact your Regional Census Center to speak with U.S. Census Bureau staff in your area, and your regional staff can help you verify and identify the identity of a local census taker. Next slide, please. They will have census bags like you see in the picture. They'll have signs in their car saying official census business, and they will probably have iPhones, not tablets. And they'll have an ID badge with their picture and a U.S. Department of Commerce watermark and an expiration date. And again, it'll be a census phone. Next slide, please. So I spoke briefly last time about mobile questionnaire assistance programs. We call them MQAs. They are now occurring. Previously, I talked about how Franklin County was in a level 3 public emergency status as far as the Ohio Public Health Department, and the Census Bureau has made a decision, I think, in light of moving up the response rate, to go ahead and proceed with these mobile questionnaire assistance programs. They're going into communities with the lowest 2020 census response rates to encourage and assist people with responding on their own to the 2020 census, and also they will be actually conducting the questionnaire on their tablets. So as you can see, we're going into the lowest 2020 census response rate, so that probably won't be anywhere in the city of Dublin. You guys are in the 80% range. We're talking about census tracts in Franklin County that are in their 30s and 40 percentiles, that they will be focusing those efforts with those MQAs. They're encouraged to respond to the census on their own, or they were able to do the questionnaire with people that will be practicing social distancing, they'll be wearing PPE. Most of these sites will include like grocery stores or markets or food banks, laundromats, restaurants, grab-and-go eateries, unemployment offices, back-to-school drives, places of worship, libraries. Those are the type of locations that will be establishing these MQAs. And again, it's just a trained and sworn-in Census Bureau employee will go out with a Wi-Fi enabled tablet and tell people either how to go online to do their census, give them information on how to do that, or actually conduct the actual questionnaire with them right on the spot. Next slide, please. Covered this. Next slide, please. That's all I have, unless there's some questions in regards to any of the topics I covered.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. I do have one quick question that's related really to, you recommend the Complete Count Committee continues to meet. I think it makes sense for us to meet. We have meetings on the calendar through December. To me, it would make sense for us to meet in September and October, but I wasn't sure if the recommendation is that we continue to meet after that or no.
It's completely up to you guys, but I probably after the suspension of the online response option and the data collection in the field, then nobody can respond after that point. So after September 30th, no one can respond, either self-respond or respond by having a census taker come to their household. So at that point, will be probably a good point to conclude the meetings.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I think we'll keep the October one just so that we can do a wrap up and talk about any lessons learned and go over sort of the final response numbers that we see. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Homer, you can probably stop sharing your screen at this point if you want. I think so. So Mark, the response to, because last time we talked, we had asked about what happens if Franklin County does not drop below the red designation. So that's what these MQAs are supposed to be for. Is that correct?
Correct. So yeah, so they made a decision to go ahead and proceed with these MQAs in all counties, regardless of the public health department status.
Okay, super. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Typically, that brings us to sort of our roundtable portion. Jenny, do you want to give us any updates with the chamber?
Sure. I just want to let you know we do have a weekly email that's scheduled to go out to about 14,000 people tomorrow, and we do have a reminder to complete the census. So I will update that message with the new dates that we've just gathered.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that. Amy, do you have any updates for us?
No, I don't think so. I think most of the people on my email list have all responded.
Excellent. All right, super. And anyone else? Does anyone else have any updates or things that, information, items or ideas, thoughts, items they want to share with the group?
As Homer, I would certainly follow up on the MTAs with our CPI and the police department, so they're and dispatchers, so they're aware that they'll be out there.
Super. Thank you.
On that note, actually, is the police department, they do little short videos and public service announcement things. Could they possibly do something to let people know that the census people might be out and it's safe to talk to them?
I think they typically touch bases with our CPI office, Communications and Public Information, and they assist them with that. So that will be same.
Okay. Okay.
Great. All right, folks. Well, I think that's going to wrap up our August Complete Count Committee meeting. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, then we will stand adjourned, and I will see you all next month as we go into the home stretch of this sucker. And hopefully everybody will get counted, and that number will be beyond 80.8% in Dublin.
Yeah, and we won't be third.
Right. I want third.
We don't want third.
I want third. Agreed 100%. All right, everybody, thank you very much for your time and your efforts. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk soon.